Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Ashley and today we're going to be doing the walkthrough instructional on our 2021 Four Winds 22E. It is 12.5 foot tall, so on the highway you're good, even through toll booths. Anything off of the highway you just want to be cautious of, so anything with a roof or overhang, drive-throughs, you just want to make sure you at least have that 13-foot clearance before you go into them. Most of the time, especially in drive-throughs, you're going to end up having to park and walking into the place. Are 22 feet in length, so just wider turns than usual. Your most important side of the RV is going to be the driver's side. The driver's side is what I like to call your action side, so most of your important stuff is going to be on the driver's side. All of your hoses, waste hose, water hose, you will find on the passenger side storage area. That's where we keep all of your hoses. So coming around to the passenger side of the RV, you have this big outside storage area. So on the outside of the RV, you don't have much storage. It's just going to be this main bay on the outside. Most of your storage areas are going to be on the inside of the RV. But coming to this back passenger side storage area, all of your hoses, leveling blocks. So you have your 30 amp power plug, you have your water hose, you have your 110 adapter, and then you have your waste. So on the driver's side or action side of the RV, I'm going to be starting you off on the water systems. So first thing you'll see on the driver's side is your fresh water connection. You have two sources to get water in the RV. You have what we call your fresh water, which you want to think of as your storage water. It's in the RV with you at all times. It's about 50 gallons. It's super easy to fill. So no matter what your colored attachment, the yellow attachment will always go to your outside water source. So for example, you are parked at a campsite and you're hooking up to their water. This will go to the campsite's water source. The regular part of the garden hose with no attachment is the one that always goes to the RV. So if you need to fill your fresh water tank, and I'm going to show you inside how we check the levels for your fresh water, you can easily just press a button and see how low you're getting on that. But when it's time to refill your fresh water, you'll have it plugged into your water source and you just take the cap off and you'll fill it. You want to think of it just like filling a bucket. So once the fresh water is full, you'll know it's full from the outside because the water starts coming back out, just like when you overfill a bucket. And then you can pop the cap back on and your freshwater tank is filled. So we have our fresh water, our storage water. Our second source of water is going to be on the back part of the driver's side, and it's called your city water. It means that you are hooking up to a campsite water or somebody's house. You're hooking up to their water. When you hook up this, that will be your direct connection for water. So again, you just pop off the cap. Same thing, colored attachment goes to your outside source. Regular part of the garden hose goes into the RV. So you would just take it like this, screw it into the RV. There, you want to make sure your campsite water is turned on, or wherever you're getting the water from, that source is turned on. The difference between using your city water and fresh water: city water, obviously you're hooked up, it's a direct connection. I'm going to show you this as well on the inside, but when you're using your city water, you have to turn your water pump off inside. Because the hose is giving it enough water pressure, you want the water pump to be off. If you're using your fresh water, your storage water, the water pump has to be on. So you want to make sure that the water pump is on when you're using your storage water, and the water pump is off when you're using your city water, your direct connect. So now that we covered your city water and fresh water connection, I'm going to take you inside the RV and show you how to check the level for your storage water, your fresh water, and how to turn the water pump on and off. And all this is going to be located on our control panel. So right here is our control panel. This button that says fresh is your fresh water, your storage water. So we click and hold that, and the red light will show us how low or how full we are on the fresh water. Water pump is located right here. So when I turn the water pump on, you'll see this red light turns on by pump. So you know that your water pump is on. So when we're using storage water, fresh water, the water pump's on. If we're not using any storage water and we're hooked up to a campsite or hooked up with the water hose outside to a water source, it's off. If you ever get confused and you're trying to use storage water and you turn your faucet on and there's no water coming out, the first place you want to check is ask yourself, am I using storage water? Yes, I'm trying to use my fresh water, my storage water, so I would need to turn the water pump on. So back to the driver's side, our action side, we have our fresh water and city water covered. Right here, this first storage area that you're gonna see is actually your generator. So on the outside of the RV, you're not gonna mess with your generator, but just so you're aware of where it's located in case you have to call roadside assistance and need them, and they're walking you through an issue with the generator and they ask you to come outside to take a look at it, this is where your generator access is, on the outside of the RV. So you have two sources of power for the RV. You can either choose plugged into a 30 amp connection, the RV is plugged into a power source, or your generator. So the generator is absolutely safe to start while someone's driving. And I'm gonna show you on the inside how we start and stop the generator. If you have the generator on and you're driving, you're gonna notice that your miles per gallon are not as good, and that's because your generator gets its power source from your fuel. So from your gas tank is how it gets its power. It doesn't take a lot, but you know, you will notice that your miles per gallon aren't as good as if you had the generator off. So on the inside, I'm going to show you how we turn the generator on and off, and how we know when the generator is on and powering everything. But you will need to turn your generator on if the RV is not plugged in, and you need to plug into the 110 outlets within the RV cabin. If you need to use the AC in the RV cabin, if you want to watch TV or use the microwave, the generator has to be on, or you have to be plugged into a power source. You never want to have it plugged in and turn the generator on. It's either one or the other. So to show you how we turn the generator on and off, we're going to go back to our control panel. That's like our powerhouse for everything. And looking right here, you have your generator hours, and then you have the start and stop. So again, I'm only going to turn the generator on if the RV is not plugged into a power source and I need to use the AC. I need to use the 110 outlets within this part of the RV if I need to use the microwave, or if I need to watch TV. I have to turn the generator on. And like I said, it's totally safe to start the generator while you're driving. So you just hold down on stop until it lights up red, and then hold down on start. It sounds like a little lawnmower engine. You'll know everything is being powered by the generator when the microwave cuts on. You gotta wait a few seconds. It takes some time to power everything. And the microwave's on, so that means the generator is giving power to everything. Once you're done using the generator, to turn it off, you literally just press stop and you're done. So a lot of people get confused with the 110 outlets in the RV cabin versus the driver's dash. Excuse my energy drink. And I'm charging my stuff too, but in the driver's bay, everything works like in a normal car. So I have my stuff plugged in to the charging outlet and it's charging just like it would in a normal car. The AC and heat will work in the driver's dash, radio works, and you don't need the generator to be on. But if you're back here and there's just not enough room, or there's too many things being plugged in up here and you need somewhere to charge something or plug something in, you have to have the generator on. Or if someone's taking a nap in the back and the AC from the driver's bay isn't reaching back here, you have to have the generator on to use the AC. If you need to use a microwave, generator has to be on, and then the TV. While you're driving, if the keys are in the ignition, the TV will not turn on. It's a safety feature to keep the driver from being distracted. So if the keys are in the ignition, the TV will not work. So if you're finding that the generator's on or the RV's plugged in and the TV isn't turning on, just make sure nobody left the keys in the ignition, because it will not allow you to turn the TV on. Now, of course, if the RV is plugged into a 30 amp connection, everything's gonna work normally. AC, TV, 110 outlets, microwave, everything will be working normally. And your microwave is always gonna be your good point to look at to make sure you're getting that power. So if you plug in the RV to a power connection, look at the microwave and see if that light's on, then you know everything is being powered correctly. So we have covered our water connections, our generator. Moving along on the driver's side here, this right here is where your hot water heater exhaust comes out. So when the hot water heater is on, this will be hot to the touch. So we just say, you know, don't touch it. This is when you have the heat on inside the RV. This will be hot to the touch as well. You have your outdoor shower. We do not provide the outdoor shower hookups, but that is what this is. Right here you have your cable inlet connection. So if the campsite or wherever you're going offers cable TV hookup, we do give you the black cable cord, so you have the ability to hook up to the campsite's TV cable. And again, right on the driver's side here. To the rear of the driver's side, you have your gas, and it's regular gas, nothing special. We do encourage you to go to truck stops only to fill up, simply because you have more room and more height at a truck stop. So like a Sheetz, Flying J, if you're going down the interstate and you see a sign that says truck stops, that's where you'll want to go to fill up. We find that most of our customers get into accidents when they try to fit into regular gas stations. If you don't have the choice and you have to go to a regular gas station to fill up, I strongly encourage you to have someone stand outside the RV and spot you to make sure you have the clearance on both sides to get through and exit the gas station. But definitely try to avoid regular gas stations, truck stops only if you can. Right above your gas, you have your 30 amp power connection. So this is your 30 amp cable cord. This part just screws into the RV here. Once you have your power cord screwed into the RV, this is your 30 amp. This part you will plug into your campsite or wherever your source of power is. Again, it's a 30 amp connection. Once this is plugged in and you go inside, again, you're using the microwave as your reference for if the RV is getting power or not. If you go inside and the microwave is not on, the first thing you would want to check is to make sure that the campsite breakers aren't tripped. Now you do have a 110 adapter. It looks just like a regular house plug, and you can attach the 30 amp connector and turn it into a 110. However, if you're using the 110 adapter, it will power everything in the RV normally, but it will not power the AC. It's just not a strong enough connection to power the AC, so just keep that in mind. So we covered water, generator, cable, gas, electricity, your city water. Last but not least, and the most favorite part on the driver's side of the RV, is your waste tanks. So we are gonna go inside and I'm gonna show you how we know when it's definitely time to dump your waste tanks. There is like a little latch right here that you can flip out, and this will hold your door up. It's time to dump. Your levers are gonna look like this, fully pushed in, and the cap is on. So you have a black waste tank and a gray waste tank. So every time you use the toilet, and everything that goes down the toilet goes into your black tank. It holds about 50 gallons of waste. Your gray is everything that goes down your sink and shower drain. So every time you take a shower or wash your hands in the sink, that water runs down the drain and into a holding tank. And on this RV, the gray tank is about 51 gallons. So questions I get asked quite often is like, how long do you think I can go without having to dump the waste tank? And it really depends on use. And there's no guesswork involved. You know, you just have to make it a habit of checking the levels on everything, maybe once in the morning and once at night, to make sure that nothing's getting too full. But again, black, everything that goes down the toilet; gray, everything that goes down your sink and shower drains. So when it's time to dump, you will take the cap off like this, and you will take your waste hose out. Maybe do a quick Google search of like RV waste dumping near me and see if there's any campsites or truck stops that offer the service, and you would just have to pay whatever their fee is in order to dump. I definitely encourage you to give them a call prior to driving to wherever it is and make sure that they do offer the service for an RV to dump their waste. So when you're ready to dump, this part with the teeth hooks into here and locks in like this. So it's nice and tightly locked in. This part, if you have full hookup at the campsite, it's usually a white pipe in the ground with a top on it. You just have to take the top off and put this part down in it. If it's a designated dumping area, it'll be almost a similar thing. You'll just have to take the top off and put this down in the dumping pipe. So you have this end in your dumping area and this end hooked up nice and tight. The first thing you're gonna wanna pull is the black. So the heavy stuff first. So you pull this all the way out. You can see all the silver right here. That means it's fully open. And then you wanna pull your gray. So pull straight out to open and push straight in to close. So we have our gray open. So the sink and shower drainage water helps to rinse out the black. So you just pull your black first and then your gray. You don't have to wait any certain amount of time to open the gray. You just want to make sure it's black first, then gray. You'll know it's done dumping. You can see through here that there's no more water, and you can hear it as well when it's done dumping. And then you just want to kind of, before you close, just make sure all of the water and waste is out of the hose itself. Now, if you're staying at a campsite overnight, I always tell my customers just to leave them open and leave it plugged in. That way, as you're using everything, it's dumping as you're using it. And then whenever it's time to check out or you're ready to leave your campsite, then you can close it up. So when we're done dumping, we'll close our gray first. So it's the opposite when we're closing. We push in the gray and then we push in the black. Make sure they're nice and tightly pushed in. And then we can remove this, put the cap back on. And then we'd be able to pack up our waste hose. The worst case scenario, if you get confused and you accidentally open the gray before the black, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just going to be kind of messier on your end. You might have to utilize your water hose and rinse out your waste hose. So it's not a big deal as in terms of you're not going to damage anything inside the RV. It just makes it more difficult for you. So again, when we dump, pulling out black first, then gray. When we're done, we close gray first, then we close the black.